The divorce process. The divorce process in Washington state starts when one spouse of a marriage files a summons and petition for dissolution of marriage with the appropriate court. The spouse that files the divorce is called the petitioner, and the other who's responding to the lawsuit is called the respondent. To get divorced in Washington, one of the parties needs to be a resident of Washington or be a military service member stationed in the state. When filing for divorce, the petitioner needs to make sure that the court that they've chosen has jurisdiction over the divorce case. This is typically the family or superior court in the county where the petitioner lives. If minor children are involved, the state where the children have lived the majority of the prior 6 months is usually the location where the court would have jurisdiction over any disputes about custody and visitation. Being the person who first files for divorce has some strategic advantages. Filing first is important because the petitioner is the one who initially sets the tone of the case. The respondent will have to agree or argue in response to assertions and demands made by the petitioner. The petitioner must formally provide the respondent with copies of the summons and petition for dissolution of marriage, a process called service of process. Then they must file proof of that service with the court. The respondent will then have 20 days to respond, or 60 days if the respondent lives outside of Washington state. Washington has a mandatory 90-day waiting period after the petition is filed and served, so all divorces in Washington take at least 90 days to finalize, and most take longer. During the waiting period, temporary orders may be put in place to guide the conduct of both parties during the divorce process. Temporary orders are very important if there's a need to manage child custody and visitation, joint bank accounts, payment of debts, taxes, protection of assets, and other issues during the process of the divorce. These temporary orders are often the foundation on which the final divorce decree will be built. At the end of the 90-day waiting period, if both parties are in full agreement, the divorce can be finalized. However, in most divorces, the process will take longer and may require mediation, settlement conference, or even trial. Learn more about divorce in Washington state by watching the other videos in our divorce course series.